esteemed audience, the fiery debates are even more heated at the Nationals of the Great Debaters Contest Season 9. I am your host, Esperanza Kapanga.
And I am Chris Boru. Debating on matters corruption today, the bone of contention between our intellectual teams today is change of currency does little in fighting corruption and illicit cash.
In the proposition, we have our defending champions from Season 8 Kapsabet High School.
And in the opposition, we have Kakamega School who seek to take the title from the champions. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes to make a statement.
Surrender J says that demonetization is nothing but a cowardice act of the government to empower a certain cadre of people by making the rest of people suffer to a level that none should have suffered. Kogo Victor Simo from Kapsabet High School here to propose this motion that states that change of currency does little in fighting corruption and illicit cash. What is change? You see, to change is to replace one thing with something new or different. What is currency? Well, currency is the system of money that a country uses. And what is to do little? When somebody does little, they put effort that is not enough to achieve something. Not enough to achieve something. Then what is to fight? This is to try hard to stop, deal with, or oppose something bad. And what is corruption? Corruption. This is the dishonest or illegal behavior where people in power misuse their entrusted authority for personal gain. And what is illicit cash? This is forbidden, or money forbidden by law, because it is counterfeit. Now, I want us to travel and arrive in India. According to money.cnn.com, India has changed their currency twice already, in 1946 and in 1978. And you see, in both cases, the story is always, oh, we want to fight corruption, oh, we want to deal with untaxed money, oh, we want to deal with illegal goods and services, oh, we want to do away with counterfeit cash, oh, twice already. In 2016, November 8th, Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, announced the withdrawal of 501,000 rupee notes, which will then be declared valueless, exposing over 1.3 billion people to a few months of agony and financial difficulties. Over 1.3 million. Financial agony and difficulties. Let us not be fast in forgetting that prominent businessmen in India stated that they had received prior warning of the move, giving them time to change their currency before even the announcement was made. Let us also not forget the reports of people circumventing the restrictions imposed on exchange by conducting multiple transactions in various branches, sending employees, sending family, and sending followers. I mean, prominent people receive prior warning. Do I need to say more? Thank you.
First proposer, you have 3 minutes to make your submissions.
From the Government African School, Kakamega, my name is Emmanuel Bright. The first antagonist to the motion that states, change of currency does little in fighting corruption and illicit cash. Now, let me get into the context of this motion. Change. According to Macmillan's dictionary, it defines change as the alteration, modification, or replacing something with a new or different thing. Currency. Currency refers to a system of money used in a particular country. Corruption. According to the new constitution, which was promulgated in the year of 2010, it defines corruption as an act of favoring a friend, a relative, or any other person when making a decision. In simple terms, not making a decision based on the correct criteria of merit. Illicit. This refers to the activity or situation which is not allowed by the laws or the rules. Cash refers to the system of money. Cash refers to money in the form of notes or coins. Illicit cash refers to illegal money. Ladies and gentlemen, successful generals make plans to fit circumstances. They do not create circumstances to fit plans. That is why Kenya, on the 1st of June 2019, they chose to change the currency of Kenya. And you know what they did? They made sure that the new currency note of Kenya has new features. Now let us look at these new features. If you look at this money, it has a new security seal. This security seal is going to ensure it is distinct from the old one, which is going to ensure that somebody is not duped. Further, if you look at the edges, it has bars, which ensures that somebody who's visually impaired does not get duped. I know you're asking yourself, where did I source this information? This information was sourced from www.centralbank.go.ke. Now, let us travel to Moyale. We find a taxi driver by the name Boniface Kamau. You know what he did? He had 3,000 shillings, an exact replica of the money produced by the Central Bank of Kenya. But then while in Moyale, what did he do? He tried to deposit this money. But then the agent who was there, luckily, had this information sensitized by the government to ensure that the local mwananchi is able to distinguish between the fake currency that has already been released and the old one. Now, gentlemen, ladies, please, let us look at the brighter side and antagonize this motion. Thank you.
Second proposal, you have 3 minutes for a rebuttal.
My name is Johnson Aboga from Kapsabet High School. My brother-in-law here, Emmanuel Bright, has really intimated on a situation that happened in the June 20th of this year about the man from Moyale. You're telling us the money is secure, but once these people whom we call wash have already known the security features and they've already replicated the money, where do we see now the security in it? Because that's just but a case that has been detected early. What about the other numerous cases that have not been detected? A small crack on a drinking straw in a beer party makes it useless. Hence, that small crack in the new currency due to the infiltration into its security features makes it as well useless. Let me take your attention to the change of new currency in our nation. I like the Swahili adage that misitu inabadilika, lakini nyani ni wale wale by Ustad Wala bin Wala. We are changing the currency, but we are retaining the same leaders. Hence, they'll still perpetuate the financial immorality with this new currency even more efficiently. Hence, we find that the corruption project with the retention of new leaders with the change of currency is alive and well. And the change of currency will do extremely nothing. This corruption is a well-funded project in the world. And our opposers here are co-sponsors by supporting this change of currency. Why do I say so? It is because this change of currency is very expensive. On the Monday, November 12th, 2018, and on June 4th, 2019, on Business Daily newspaper, an article was written and rewritten because the change of currency was going to be more expensive to Kenya. Why? 5 billion shillings allocated for that project was inflated to 15 billion shillings, but with the same amount of notes to be released, what made them to add 10 billion more shillings to this? This means that even the funds allocated for printing new currency can be misappropriated, hence leading to even more corruption and more flow of illicit cash. We find that also it comes to the detriment of innocent Kenyans, especially the owners of banks. We find that in India, according to standardmedia.com, 200,000 ATM machines had to be reconfigured in India so as to accept the new notes because they were smaller and they had different features, hence coming to the inconvenience of these bank owners. Why should we inconvenience very innocent citizens in this fight against corruption with approaches that do extremely nothing? It also inconveniences those with the legitimate cash in hard form. We find that the pastoralist communities here in Kenya, especially the Maasai, they'll sell their cattle through trade and they'll not take the money to the bank. So, as now we have a very short time frame for changing this money up to October 10th, with very few banks in the remote areas where these pastoralist communities live, it will be hard for them to explain the source of their money and their tax compliance certificates because it's their traditional trade. Why should we take this fight this far? This is like responding to a mosquito bite with a hammer. Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal.
My name is Maloba Rogers from the Government African School, Kakamega. The second antagonist to the motion that states change in currency does little in fighting corruption and illicit cash. To the first proposer, you came and told us that people are suffering at the rate that they are never supposed to suffer. You know, out of this suffering, we have been helped to identify the change in currency as a solution to these problems towards curbing corruption and illicit cash. You're talking of India having a currency change in the 1970s. I can't actually remember the year you've said. Why? I don't know your sources, because for my information, India had a currency change in 2016. How I wish you'd have convinced me more by giving me more of your concrete sources. You just asked the issue about Moyale of what Emmanuel Bright, the first opposer, had stated. And you're saying that there are other numerous cases which have not been detected. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we are starting at a point and ending at another. I mean, we are having a starting point and an ending point. And that's why a case like that of Moyale is just one of the cases. And this tells you, if at all that one is detected, that means the rest of the cases are going to be detected. You're talking of forests remaining the same while monkeys are changing. I like your quote. You know, I don't know what forests are and what monkeys are in this context. You're talking of leaders being corrupt. How we should have mentioned their names. That's why we are having change in currency to ensure that the corrupt leaders are no longer in place. Because by so doing, we shall curb corruption, we shall curb illicit cash. On to my first point. Change in currency has helped to purge black money from the mainstream of the economy. Talking of this, from businessdaily.com, the Central Bank of Kenya initially stated that 1,000 shilling notes had flooded the economy. It had flooded the economy and it was used for illegal financial transactions. And guess what? This was conducive for us to say that we needed to change the currency, hence being one of the main reasons why Kenya had to change its currency. As a result, changing currency has helped to curb criminal financial activities and tax evaders, enhancing war on corruption. I mean, when the tax evaders are curbed, don't you think we'll be fostering SDG number 8, which fosters economic growth? Of course, we will be doing so. In addition to that, according to citizentv.co.ke, as reported by Anthony Ndagwa, 3 people whose identity could not be shown on national television were caught in Embu while in possession of 100,000 Kenyan shillings. And guess what? This was in form of the new currency. They were taken to Manyata police station, and the police boss said that these people had an intention of bringing down the people who could not identify the fake notes. As a result of that, you get that due to changing currency, we were able to identify such culprits. We were able to bring them on board, and by bringing them on board, we are curbing the illicit cash. We are curbing corruption, this nightmare that is in our country. Think about it. Thank you.
The proposers have been asked, if not change of currency, then what do they think is the best way to curb corruption in our society? The opposers, on the other hand, have been asked, What is the guarantee that we will actually detect all cases of fake currency in the country, considering that we are a more reactive than proactive society? Third proposer, you have 3 minutes to respond.
To answer the question that has been put up to me, the question was, what would be the best solution to deal with corruption if not changing the currency? I would like you to refer to conversation.com. Malaysia changed the system of government instead of changing the currency. This system of government had been rolling for 61 years. So I believe that instead of trying to change the currency, which most probably will have flaws, we can try to change the government system instead. I have heard a lot of people talking about themselves being antagonists. But I'm here to say, I'm not an antagonist. I am not a protagonist. But I'm here to help us solve our problems with corruption and illicit cash. First of all, the second opposer asked us to give the source of the India change of currency. With all due respect, I am not sure whether your eardrums might be having an issue, because it was clearly stated that according to money.com, moneycnn.com, in the year 1946 and 1978, India changed its currency. To my first point, changing of currency leads to weakening of the economy, in that it leads to weakening of the Kenyan currency. We see that during the first 2 weeks of the currency change, the value of the Kenyan money dropped from 101 to 103 as compared to the dollar. That is from standardmedia.com. So, do you think this is really doing justice to SDG number 8? Decent work and economic growth. So, do you really think that we are helping our country to develop, or we are actually deteriorating our country because the value of our currency is going down? It is not diving. Do you really think by changing the currency we are doing justice to our nation? No, that is not the case. Also consider that illicit transactions are mainly done through forex bureaus which operate in foreign currency. So changing local currency won't affect most of these illicit transactions. I would say it is like flogging a dead horse. That will be just a waste of energy. Do you really think we are helping anything? Do you really think anything that we're doing is contributing to this fight against corruption? And now, this is a vessel. The change of currency is a vessel. Do you really think that by changing the vessel and not changing the content, we are helping anything? No, the vessel is just there to carry the content. The content is what will determine what is there to be delivered. So, let us change the content, not the vessel. Thank you.
Kadukuza, you have 3 minutes to respond to your question.
In front of you, Paul Muhisa Kitui from the Government African School. Now, very quickly, I would like to answer the question that was asked about, there was a case of Boniface Kamau who was caught, by the way. And this was because the enhanced security features on the notes made it easier for the authorities to track him. Now, you've asked on what guarantee do we as Kenyans have on subsequent cases actually being reported and counted. Now, I would like to inform you that actions have been taken. We have seen offices like the Directorate of Public Prosecution and the Directorate of Criminal Investigation tackle major corruption cases that threaten the economy of our country. They even recently went to the United States to seek the help of the FBI in tracking down drug lords, laundered cash, and so on. Therefore, I would like to guarantee you that this is the first step and more is to come. And like gentlemen, we answer all questions, and although the prior one was rejected, I'll still answer it. The source for Maloba's statement was www.strategybusiness.com. Now, The definite of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. These are the words of Clement Stone. Now, when Patrick Njoroge decided to sign the release of the new currency to the public, he had a purpose and he hoped to achieve something. When India decided to change their currency to counter cases of money laundering, they had a dream in mind. Now, Patrick Njoroge, as quoted by the Standard Media, was quoted saying that the change of currency were to help the government to curb antisocial activities such as smuggling, terrorist attacks, counterfeit on notes, tax evasion, and corruption. And they took India, preferably, as a case study. Now, Abonge, that is the second proposer, has asked on, again, the guarantee of people actually receiving justice on money that was laundered. Now, I would like to tell you that India changed their currency, and these benefits were that it gained more tax collection in a substantial amount amongst their communities and systems. It was also reported that it was a successful method of countering black money. Apart from that, it improved technological methods of transaction, which enhanced the technological sector of the country. Now, with this happening, it took a period of about, the report on this was released after a year's financial report and audit. You asked on one corruption case being mentioned, and what about the others? I would like to tell you that great things take time. And with these 2 months, we have a few cases being caught. I would like to ask for a little patience because we can trust in the system at hand. India waited for a year, and it worked for them. And indeed, we cannot hide the facts. Now, Kenya has made great steps into curbing corruption, and we are still going further, enforcing the SDG goal number 8, decent work and economic growth for a sustainable city. Thank you.
Proposers, you have 1 minute to make a final submission.
Well, the second opposer said that I need to mention those leaders who have been held in corruption cases. I do not want to mention because the matters are still pending in court, so I don't have the legal authority to mention them. Also, I'm not a Jewish prophet of doom, nor am I related to one, but the change of currency is not going to help in curbing corruption and illicit cash, because as you can see from history lane, India had 99.3% of its currency notes coming back into the financial system according to IGCC.com. In Ghana, it was no better. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, it was no better. In Venezuela, it was no better. And why can't we just learn from these others? We can just use sweet poison to kill this corruption instead of using this bitter poison of change of currency. What do I mean? We change our system of governance. We have strong judicial systems that hold those who are held in corruption cases and proven guilty have very horrendous terms in terms of judicial punishments. Otherwise, thank you.
Opposers, you have 1 minute to make a final submission.
Of course, we do not deny the fact that change in currency has done something in opposing corruption. We are saying that change in corruption does a substantial amount of effort into curbing these, but there are also other alternative means we do not refuse. Corruption itself is something major and broad. In fact, Geography Now, on a Kenyan episode, that's a YouTube channel, said that the average Kenyan gives about 16 bribes a month. Now, a change of currency does a substantial amount in curbing corruption because, number one, if we enforce change of currencies, we will help curb these cases that involve large transactions of money. And in turn, we will be able to narrow down to these other small cases that threaten to shake our nation, because indeed, change in currency is the right way to go. It worked for many countries. It worked for India. According to www.guninternational.com, it stated that between 2015 and 2017, India experienced economic growth by changing its corruption, hence enhance its system and purge black money. Thank you.
Kapsabet High School, you did very well in terms of explaining the motion that's before you. And listening to the three of you made the motion very clear. And I'm sure that the audience that's watching will attest to that. I think you simplified the motion, you made it real, believable, and relatable in the context in which you're operating, and that's commendable. So all the best to your team. Kakamega, that's Emmanuel, Maloba, and Paul. You also did well. I think the start was a little slow. The cross-examination was not very well done, but your third speaker came in and, kind of saved the day for your school. So I guess part of it is also how you organize yourselves as a team and draw on the strengths of each other so that then you know who, you put at the beginning and who, follows through. But overall, a good debate and all the best to your school as well.
I just wish to speak to Kapsabet, and I think you're a strong team, to say the truth. And I'm sorry, if I'm to choose a team, I'll choose. I'm not sure what about the team that other two judges would choose, but I'll choose Kapsabet. I wrote nothing, virtually nothing on my paper because I was listening to the first debater, listening to the second debater, and listening to the third debater. And I told Maina, you remind me of somebody called Njoroge. That's Moi Forces Academy, I think. Njoroge was an amazing debater. When he takes the stage, believe you me, he's going to explain it to you like a child. Let me go back to what we like saying in great debaters. Albert Einstein, he said, if you cannot explain it to a child, then you haven't understood it yourself. And I think you did exactly that. You explained it to me as if I'm a child. And I went with you through the journey. To the other team, I think the challenge here is how we organize ourselves, as Judge Booker has said, and also, just having facts and being a little persuasive. The thing is, you don't know what team you're going to meet. You don't know how strong they are. And therefore, you want to over-prepare. Don't just prepare, over-prepare yourselves. I'm not undermining what you've done. I'm saying you've done a good job. But the problem is you've met Kapsabet boys. And Kapsabet boys, apparently, they were a little bit stronger than you from the first debater to the last debater. There should be no weak link in the team. So you did fairly good, but I think Kapsabet boys carried the day. The only question is by what percentage?
These are the nationals. The results always surprise us. Kakamega High School, the judges awarded you 71%. Let's give them a round of applause.
Kapsabet Boys High School.
Continuing to fight to defend their title. The judges awarded you, Chris,
A whopping 78%. Let's give them a round of applause. With that being said, we'd like to congratulate Kapsabet Boys High School for being the greater debater in this debate.
This conversation is over here on stage, but for you at home, keep it going across our social media platforms. The hashtag is always GDC for SDGs. I have been your host, Esperanza Kapanga.
And until the next episode, I am Chris Buru. Don't touch that dial.